I'm working on a project, a healthcare project that I've recently been introduced to Dr. Waranji, and we're looking to work together. So I'm just attending just to understand and get more information about your project and your platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So who else is in there?
Hi, I'm Susan Backstrom. I'm with Boston Center for Independent Living, where I met Dr. Wadaringi and found out about the increase in interest in wealth, actuation in Africa, and also found out about the deeper usage of intellect to create pathways and also to create wealth in biotech and in healthcare and health services and in putting forth energy in that way. And I invited my friend uh, from uh, from Chelsea to join. She may be here in a little while. She is also an intellect of great strength and integrity, and a person of who's in service to the nations. And she's from Zambia, I think, and she's anyway, her name is Grace, and she may or may not join you today, but if not, I'd just like to connect you with her at some point. And also, I am really interested in seeing how much progress this has made it in generating health results for people in Africa. Anyway, just all that. And so yeah, you can find me in various places online. I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Alightable, and also on some other social media uh, as well. But yeah, so that's me, and thank you, Dr. Macharia, for being so amazing. Anyway, here we go.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Susan Backstrom. For those who do not know, I am blind. Susan Backstrom is my peer advocate. She is at the Boston Center for Independent Living. So she has worked with me a lot to go into through this transition of loss of eyesight. Thank you so much, Susan, for being there for me. Thank you. Back to you, Frida.
All right, so I think then we can have Fatma. Fatma, you can just do a brief introduction if you're okay.
Okay. Good evening. I'm from UAE. Sorry. My name is Fatima Olubinga. I'm a Matura engineer and a project manager as well. And I'm more into renewable energy sustainability and all of that. I got information about the meeting from a blockchain group that I belong to. So I really don't know much about what exactly is going on. Thank you.
So again, Fatma, you said you are in MIE, UAE, United Arab Emirates?
Yes, UAE.
Excellent. Welcome to the meeting.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, and then lastly, David.
I'm Kadaya and Obale, that is, I'm based in South Africa. I talked to Dr. Orenge. Now, Orenge was my classmate. That's how I heard about this. Yeah. What more am I supposed to say?
Tell us what you do in South Africa, Dr. Mbale.
No, I'm a medical doctor. I'm a brain surgeon here in South Africa. I am based in the Eastern Cape, and I run neurosurgery here, both in the university and in the government. That is essentially what I do. I'm a neurosurgeon.
Your default speaker has changed to speakers left paren Realtek left paren.
So Kadia, David, you knew Dr. Waringi before he lost his sight, right?
Yeah, that's the Waringi I remember.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So Susan Backstrom, I was the one that once upon a time in a sighted world, but then I'm living in a different world today. Yes. Well, thank you. So that's Dr. Mbale. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all for joining us even from South Africa, from UAE, from here in Boston. Effie, we just get to know is I see Iyo Effiang. Is that how did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, AF Young. And
Iyo.
I'm based in Oklahoma.
Oh, are you from Akwa Ibom?
Close, but I'm from Cross River State.
Cross River. Yeah, I did a project in Cross River in Akwa Ibom, in South Nigeria, 2012 to 2014.
Okay.
Okay, then let's get the meeting back to Frida.
All right, so thank you everyone for those great introduction. So my name is Frida Butale and I work at Actuate. I'm based in Kenya. And so, yeah, so I think we're going to begin with a brief PowerPoint presentation about what...
1 minute.
Yes,
1 minute, Frida, before you go. I'm here with another friend of mine called Milton.
Yes, my name is Milton Andrade. I do branding, marketing, and real estate development here in Boston and in Ohio as well. So here and ready.
All right. Thank you, Frida.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a moment. Let me share my screen.
Frida has started screen sharing. You are viewing for this screen.
All right.
Frida has started screen share. The shared F6 Zoom meeting. The content of this meeting is being sent to space. Speech on demand.
All right, so hello everyone again, and welcome to the Actuate Society of Decentralized Finance. And so this is our first session, and we shall be meeting, having weekly meetings on Saturdays. And yeah, at the same time, we began today at, I think it's 1:30 there. It began at 1:30 Eastern Time. In Kenyan time, it's 8:30. And so the mission of the Actuate Society of Decentralized Finance is to support the translation of knowledge in Africa into products and services through decentralized finance, of which we're calling DeFi. And so we're going to begin by looking at the desired future state. And the desired future state is that we are looking forward to knowledge translation, of which knowledge translation refers to the process of capturing and converting knowledge from its raw format into products and services for human development. Yeah, and so knowledge translation happens in several steps. And the first step is discovery. Yeah, this is where you discover what you know and what you don't know. And then we go to exteriorization, and then we go to formalization, and then ideation and prototyping, and also manufacture and distribution. And but all these steps require a massive amount of capital for it, for knowledge translation to happen. Yeah, of which that's where progress stalls, because we are unable to raise capital for knowledge translation. And so the general problem is that promising African innovations stop before commercialization. Yeah, so you'll find that early stage research needs expertise, not only expertise, imagination. Yeah, it also needs a large amount of capital to become to reach to fruition. And so we'll find that traditional investors, they avoid untested and small-scale ventures due to perceived risk. And so next, we're going to look at the specific problem. It's that we're looking at DeFi and DeFi platforms or even blockchain networks. They create new opportunities for capital formation. But now you'll find that they often come with complex jargon or a lot of words maybe people perceive to be hard to understand. Yeah, and the result of that is that innovators can't access funding, and so the capital gap persists. Yeah, and so for DeFi, once you learn about DeFi, you'll be able to learn about programmable finance via using mobile phones. Yeah, and so how we are solving this is through the Actuate Academy. Yeah, so the Actuate Academy is where we provide people with education about the blockchain and decentralized finance. So we train you hands-on experience, and we have several levels. And the first one is the basic level. We have 4 more levels. So I'll say the basic, we have the intermediate, and then we have advanced level 1 and level 2. Yeah, so for the basic and intermediate, they both take 8 weeks. And for the advanced levels, they need a little bit of more time. So they take 10 weeks each. Yeah, and at the end, we'll find that graduates become certified Actuate agents, and we reinvest the skills locally such that, they become agents of Actuate and part of the Actuate society. And so this is the basic layout of the modules we have. As I said, the basic level takes 8 weeks, and there you learn about blockchain fundamentals, cryptography, how to set up a wallet, and such. And so next is intermediate, and here we learn about smart contract development for health and regulatory design. And so for advanced level 1, you learn about automatic market making, about liquidity pools, lending and borrowing. And so for the last advanced level 2, you learn about tokenization of biotechnology equipment and also real estate. And so, yeah, it's a very detailed course setup. And so if you want to advance your knowledge in blockchain and decentralized science, that's our course. And so next, we're going to look at how it works. So we plan on doing this online through Zoom, and the sessions, we plan to start them on May 13th, 2025. Yeah, and so our students will be able to, at the end, will be able to deploy smart contracts and also configure decentralized finance for health and human development. Yeah, and so at the end, we said that they also graduate with deployable code samples, and they can be ready to launch them in the mainnet, in the blockchain, or even build their own layer ones or launch them in the blockchain networks. And so why this matters to you is that number one, you'll be bridging the DeFi gap. Yeah, so first, you'll first empower innovators to raise capital independently. Yeah, so the Actuate Academy, it demystifies the tools and translating theory into practice. So participants can be able to deploy capital raising mechanisms independently. And then next, you'll also be fueling translation science. Yeah, so that means that you'll support drug development and development of medical devices and also hospital supplies. And then lastly, you'll be part of the building the decentralized science society. Yeah, so graduates become community development workers who in turn train local innovators to help onboard regional projects into DeFi platforms. And thus it will create a multiplier effect across all disciplines. And so our approach is that number one, it's an open application. Yeah, so each cohort will have cohorts, and which will ensure that we have interactive mentoring. And so for the progression, we'll have learners will complete at least one level before advancing. Yeah, so you can't, unless you've had some basic training, obviously you'll have to start with the basics and then go into intermediate, and then we'll look at the advanced levels. And then at the end, we'll have certification and token incentives. So for learners who go through all that process will be awarded with Actuate tokens upon graduation, yeah, and become certified or receive certificates, official blockchain developer certificates within the Actuate decentralized science community. We also have sponsorship opportunities. Yes, so if you like to sponsor people, maybe you want to sponsor people within your community, we have opportunities for that. Yeah, so you can sponsor learner seats in our academy, and of which will you can also empower researchers, clinicians, and community champions with DeFi skills by sponsoring them to take a course in the Actuate Academy. And so you'll also get an equal amount of Actuate tokens. Yeah, so for each, let's say you sponsor even, let's say 10 people to take the basics course. Yeah, so that will be about 2,500. Yeah, so you get an equivalent of 2,500 Actuate tokens. And so, with that, you also become a recognized member in the society, and you'll also gain access to previews of pilot projects within Actuate. And so next, we're going to look at why you should participate. As you've said, first you learn how to use decentralized finance to form capital for your own projects. Yeah. And next, you can be able to sponsor people you care about to take courses in the Actuate Academy. And you also become a member of Actuate Decentralized Science Society by holding Actuate tokens. As we said, you'll get an equal amount of Actuate tokens. Let's say for let's say as I've said, for if you sponsor, let's say 2,500, you get an equal amount of Actuate tokens, and then you get a return in investment in community service, and also when the token appreciates in value, you can also get a return from that. And then next, you will become a premium member of a global network of innovators. Yeah, so all these are exciting reasons why you need to participate in the Actuate Academy. And so next, we're going to look at different sponsorship levels. We have 4 sponsorship levels. We have the member, we have chief, and then we have premier, and then Patreon. And all this depends on the number of learners you've sponsored. So for each, let's say you sponsor 10 learners, you can see that from the table that for 10 learners, you get to be a member of the Actuate Society. Yeah, sorry about that. So as you said, let me go back to the table. For members, you get to become member of the Actuate Society of Decentralized Science. If you sponsor 20 people, that means that you've paid $5,000 for 20 learners. You become chief of Actuate Society of Decentralized Science. And then for 40 people, you become a premium member of Actuate Society of Decentralized Science. And then lastly, for Patreon, that means sponsoring 80 learners, that you become a patron of the Actuate Society of Decentralized Science. Or if you want to sponsor even more, there's no limit to these sponsorships. So yeah, you're welcome to do that. And so I think from there, I'd like to give the opportunity to Dr. Masharia to maybe add a word or two. So welcome, Doc.
Well, thank you so much, Frida. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, well, thank you. So here we are with myself and Newton and Rodriguez. And of course, it's a great pleasure to have all of you. And I would like to say that decentralized finance and the blockchain is very powerful technology that has come to give us freedom of finance in the economy. So what you call the developing countries are places where people are not able to form capital to fund the real world projects, particularly in healthcare, medicine, and science. And now we have decentralized finance. But decentralized finance technology that's built on the blockchain itself. For those people who don't know what the blockchain is all about, I think this is a good time to start learning. Blockchain is technology on what, say, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are built. But blockchain has got so many other applications. But I think the greatest use case of the blockchain is decentralized finance. That means helping people to form capital wherever they are so they can actually fund projects to solve problems that matter to them. And so today, I'm so glad to be here. And I think what we can do is I'd like to ask many, many questions to you guys, and then you can type answers. You type your answers to the chat box, and then we can look at, these are questions about.
Yeah, you still have one left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sit down, Jose. Sorry.
This is
four. Okay. Are you all together?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
six.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
She got it now.
missed that part.
She got it.
Okay. So
Sorry.
you have a different alcove after?
No.
Okay.
No, we're all set. We're in a meeting.
Okay.
Wait,
Sorry
wait.
about that.
Cool.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. We are, also in physical meeting here. This because a hybrid meeting. Okay, so the
You can hear.
you can hear me?
I can't hear them.
Oh,
Yeah, you can. We can hear you just fine, and we heard the person coming from the Boston Public Library into your alcove or whatever. Sorry.
yeah. Sorry, yeah, he was coming. To. How much time we have, by the way?
Until 3 o'clock.
Till I don't know what time is it now.
It's 1:54.
Okay. So the first question I want to ask is I mean from the presentation that you've had from Frida. Frida has explained to us it's about translation science. By the way, translation science is what goes on in Massachusetts almost spontaneously. It's what people call development or drug development, taking the idea from a laboratory bench to the patient bedside. Laboratory bench means in the laboratory, you look at molecules and all that in the laboratory bench, but then those molecules end up with the patients as tablets or as medical devices. So it's called bench to bedside or development science. Now that process is very, very expensive. To take an idea from the laboratory to the patient bedside, a biomedical device costs about $700 million and a whole slew of bureaucracy and many, many years of doing that. At the second level,
There's no reading in this.
You just told me. Thank you.
He didn't know.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
So for the pharmaceutical drug development, to take an idea from the laboratory bench in a pharmaceutical lab to make it into a tablet that a patient can consume takes about $3 billion. All these processes takes about 10 to 15 years of work and extreme bureaucracy. Because of that, people in developing countries, even if they have knowledge about how to translate their knowledge into products like medicines, they cannot afford to put together 700 million just for research and development alone. Neither can they put together $3 billion. That was in the old finance. But today, we have decentralized finance. Decentralized finance, where it opens up the capital markets that now people in science are able to form capital to fund that project. So that is, you could say, just basic introduction. So what I would say, the first question I would like to ask is, how did you hear about this? And you can type that in the in the chat box so we can follow through. And then I would like to, then I'm going to ask you a very personal question. What would it mean for you to become a member of a movement for society for decentralized science? That's very, very important because when you're here, we are forming a society for members of decentralized science. So we can translate knowledge wherever it is, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in a small, in a university, in a remote corner in the world, you will be able to convert that knowledge, but you cannot do that without knowing decentralized finance. And so we are creating a movement for decentralized science to do that. Now, what would it mean for you? You can please type your answers.
Are they talking to you? I can't hear them.
Sorry, you said?
Are they talking to you? Because we can't hear them.
No, they're not talking. I think they're typing.
What is this? What is this Facebook?
This one? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm using a device to. Okay. So, very important question here. I'm asking, do you believe that people in Africa should have tools for capital formation to fund their own science? So I'm going to keep asking these questions and then think about this question. You don't have to answer right now, but then we're going to come down and review what you've thought about. That's the second question. Do you believe that people in Africa should have tools to form capital to fund their own innovation? Question number 3, in your own experience, have you seen ideas or projects that have failed to manifest because of lack of funding in your own experience, wherever you are, whether you're in South Africa, in Nairobi, whether you're in Ghana, in Nigeria? Have you seen projects in Africa, people discussing about projects, but then they cannot bring them to fruition? How much of that unused knowledge do you think exists in African settings? Is it just a little or is a lot of it? And why do you think that is the case? What do you think is the real cause of this problem? Is it because of lack of access? Why are scientists not translating their local knowledge? Is it lack of access, lack of money, or lack of policy, lack of governance? So another question I would like us to address later on, because I'm asking this question because we're going to unpack them throughout our weekly events here. The next question is, do you think people in your community, wherever you are, understand how decentralized finance works? Or does decentralized finance feel very, very strange and totally inaccessible to the people? Another question that comes to mind I want you to consider is, what do you think is the greatest barrier for people in Africa to use decentralized finance to form capital for their innovations? Now, another question, as you keep thinking about these things, do you think that decentralized finance can become a viable solution to form capital for innovations in Africa? Okay, also think about this, assuming that decentralized finance would work, that we are now able to go to a local university in Africa and convert all that knowledge into material products and services. What do you think we need to do? Sorry. What? Mhm.
Continue.
Now then, I'm going to ask you now a personal question. Keep this in mind. What would be your ideal role yourself? What do you think you can play in helping people to form capital, to use decentralized finance to translate knowledge in Africa? Yeah. Now, as you have seen, Frida has said that the way to do this perhaps would be through sponsorship, a massive public education through the academy. But many people cannot afford, people in your community in Africa, they cannot afford these courses. Do you think you would sponsor people that you care about to learn about blockchain in service of awareness? Well, the interesting thing is that sponsorship itself comes with Actuate tokens. We have.
I got you. I got you.
Okay.
Just grab your bottle and your cane. Your cane's over there.
Yeah. So, uh, what we talk about the issues is to talk about the sponsorship levels.
Table, watch the table. Oh, keep coming.
That that make sense.
Straight up.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to the right. To the right. Yep. Right. Yep. Watch the door. No, it's over there.
Now, the interesting question I would like to ask that if you, for example, say to become part of the art society, what value would you think you would get from such, either emotionally, what's the emotional value for participating in helping to educate people in decentralized science, and of course, using decentralized science for capital formation so that people can make products and services that for disease that matters to them. What value would you get out of that? Is it an emotional value? Is it professional value? Or is it social value? What kind of value would you be looking for in participating in decentralized science? Why would that value be important to you? Think about that. Why would just participating in decentralized science say, for example, emotional value? What emotion will you get out of helping to create capital formation for translating knowledge in different locations in Africa, where people can make medical devices and make medical supplies that would improve their health? What emotional value do you get out of that? In Also, what professional value do you get out of that? What social value? Think about these things. And because when we are creating this movement, we want to make sure that somebody knows why we're here. I'm here because it's giving me so much satisfaction, so much value, so much social value. It's also helped me to advance my career. It helps me to meet the greater good, let's say the public good. Mm. So in this situation, when you're seeking value, you can see there are different levels of sponsorship. People, starting from if you're sponsoring people in your community, for example, as Frida said, that if you're, for example, living somewhere outside Africa, like we're in the diaspora, and you would like people in your community to get to know about how to use blockchain so they can improve their value. They can improve their life. You could sponsor 10 students and become a member, or you can improve 20 students and become a chief. You can sponsor 40 students and become a premier, or you can sponsor 80 students, you become a Patreon. Those are different titles. So what would that mean for you? Mm. Now, you keep thinking about these things. Now, if you were to learn, particularly because you're going to be doing this on a continuous basis, if I showed you how your work or your contributions will empower learners wherever you are in your community, what would you be willing to participate in becoming a member of the Actuate Society for Decentralized Science? Now, what I would like now to discuss is out of those questions, because I'm done with questions, by the way. What would make it easy for all of you? So now we can open this to discussions that we can start sharing. I hope you've been writing some of these questions down. And if you have not written them, first of all we should open the floor to conversation. Yeah, I think because I don't know how we can get started. I think I can call people individually to speak about the presentation and that set of questions. Okay, so who do we have? Let's start with Dr. Mbale out there in South Africa. Hello, Dr. Mbale.
Hi. Those are so many questions.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. It's like you're challenging my mind.
Yeah, that's the idea. But we're going to unpack them over the next several weeks. So we can start with the first question. Why are you here? Are you here because you're curious or you're serious about translation science? Tell us about your experience with medical care in Africa, because you've traveled elsewhere also in Europe, United States, and what we can do to improve healthcare in Africa.
One, I'm curious. I really can't say that because I'm like a toddler trying to learn these things, so I'm curious. But healthcare in Africa, Africa is so big, it's diverse. Facilities vary from place to place. Governance is a big problem throughout, right from the north to the south. The policies are there, but governance is a big problem. So how can this improve healthcare? The fundamental principles of healthcare are the same, they're universal. The problem is taking the healthcare from paper to practice. Financial problems are heavy for every institution and every health institution in Africa, be it in South Africa where there's money, to Malawi where there's little money. So how do we improve this? It boils down to one thing, governance. Because the policies are there. I have no doubt that policies. The policies are there. Research has been done. We don't need to replicate research. How does this blockchain thing help? It will make finance available. It look regions like Eastern Cape, like Mombasa. I think it makes finance accessible so that we stop depending a lot on outside help to promote or to buy what we need to do the research where we should do it. I think this is one thing that might be prime that this blockchain help. It just and is defined by your decentralization, your theme of decentralization, in that we stop depending on one institution or two institutions to provide the help. We can provide them at a local level. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mbale. I think Africa, Africa is not lacking access to healthcare because of lack of the research. For example, I know Kenya itself, Kenya Medical Research Institute has the greatest knowledge about malaria in this world. That was is published at the Lancet in the United Kingdom. Okay. All that research going on at Kenya Medical Research Institute is not even published in Kenya Medical Journal. It's published in the Lancet in England. What is England doing with malaria research in Kenya? That's one. The reason that research ends up there is because, first of all, it's not Kenyans who paid for that research. That research was paid by the British government and British people, the Wellcome Trust in England. And so they come to Kenya and do a lot of work they pay local people to do research, but then the local people find the problem with malaria, and then they actually find the solution, and then they publish that in the international journal. But then Kenya has got the highest incidence of death due to malaria in the world. Kenya having the greatest amount of research and yet has got the highest incidence of death to malaria. So the question is, why is all this research that is in Kenya Medical Research Institute, why does it not convert into the solution to eradicate malaria? Malaria is a parasite that is carried by a big mosquito, which is visible. It's not like hiding anywhere. It's in plain view, but we cannot deal with it. Now, the journey from taking that research to creating a solution that can be used by patient, it's called the bench to bedside. That's what I'm talking about. That journey costs approximately $3.5 billion in about 10 to 15 years of work. So where is that money going to come from? Traditionally, money for that kind of work come from capital markets in the United States, either the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, or even say in London Stock Exchange. Capital Markets Authority. Capital Markets Authority do not work anywhere in African continents, and they haven't worked. That's the reason you could know so much about malaria. You could know so much about something, and then you can do absolutely nothing about it. It's about capital formation. So it goes beyond policy. It goes to the actually activity of putting money together to fund the research so the research becomes a product. And that's what we call translation science. And so decentralized finance has that entire solution, DeFi. Instead of, we cannot form capital from, say, Kenya Medical Research through the NASDAQ or the London Stock Exchange, although that's the way the Europeans would like us to do. But that's be very, very expensive, almost impossible to do that. But today, on the decentralized finance, on the blockchain, you can get local people, individuals like yourself, ourselves, even in the villages, participating in forming that capital, raising money through the tokens. So for example, we have Actuate token itself. Supposing we are going to need $3 billion to form the solution for malaria, for KEMRI. So the research is already there. It's published in Lancet. They say this is the greatest research in malaria. What we need to do is rally money to fund that research. With an Actuate token, we can say we have assigned 3 billion tokens to that project. And then we tell everybody in the country to buy that token for $1 or $2 or $3. You can buy as many tokens as they want. Everybody. And this means that every single individual who has got a cell phone, it doesn't have to be a smartphone, even the feature phone, the Nokia feature phone has got access to the blockchain itself because the blockchain is the internet. So through those cell phones, because the cell phone is in every household today, then we have access to the ability to form capital through decentralized finance platform. And it's so easy to do because in the decentralized finance platform, that is what's called liquidity pools, creating liquidity. So that if we assign a whole bunch of tokens, like the 3 billion, and if these 3 billion tokens are specific for malaria projects, then we go around the world telling people, to buy those tokens, the money becomes available to fund the conversion of this research knowledge into material products and services. See? So that's the power of the blockchain. Really powerful. And its power, this was decentralized. So we are decentralizing finance such that finance is not coming from central organizations in the market authorities like the NASDAQ or the London Stock Exchange, but they are on the DeFi platforms such as Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and the like. Yeah. So
May I add?
yeah.
So I would like to add that the blockchain allows for, decentralization, and so hey, so the concern about government is dramatically reduced because of this decentralized nature of blockchain. Furthermore, time for the funding and the research and everything to come together is also significantly reduced because you cut out intermediaries. So I have a case study here from the United Nations that kind of addresses, health and blockchain together. I'm going to read some notes. It says the United Nations World Food Program, it helped using Ethereum to aid Syrian refugees. They helped 10,000 Syrian refugees living in camps in Jordan. They increased transparency because the blockchain allows everyone to see everything and it's immutable. So anything from the past, there's no tampering in the past. You can only modify for the future. And then also because of that same nature, there was a reduction in fraud as well through the United Nations program. So I'll let him continue with that.
Oh, thank
material.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is Jose Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah. So next that's so you've had well even the United Nations is using blockchain for food distribution, but particularly relief in even refugee camps because it's so decentralized. Imagine people in refugee camps don't have a bank account. How do you reach them? But they have cell phones.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They have cell phones, but they don't have bank account because the bank account don't consider them profitable. Forget the bankers. Bankers out of the way. And the bankers also do the same thing to women. Can you believe 60 to 70% of women in Africa don't have access to finance services because they are extra bank, they're unbanked. And so blockchain brings out all those people. Let's call it the multitude. And that multitude we are talking about is the one that we need to rally capital to raise this money for translation. So ultimately, uh, even what you call $3 billion for turning a molecule into a medical product, it comes not because it costs $3 billion, but because there's so much bureaucracy that is built in the system. In the decentralized finance, all that bureaucracy is washed away, and in fact, what was costing 3 billion will now be costing only about 3 million.
The key word is, or the key term is peer-to-peer, and that's how the intermediaries are reduced. And then time to market, from idea to market, or to the patient or whoever needs it, is also reduced along with that.
Yes, peer-to-peer direct. So any other questions, comments, and I think we can I mean if EO, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here. Just to add a little bit to or follow up what Dr. Kadhaya was talking about. We have policy. Originally, I'm from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. So there, Nigeria, I know very well when it comes to healthcare. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm an accountant, but I've had to engage providers. So I do live in the U.S. I know the landscape here in the U.S. Lived in different states in the U.S. South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, New Jersey, and now in Oklahoma. Just to follow up what he said a little bit about policy and the challenges around healthcare, and where my focus is in electronic medical records. To me, the addressing the low-hanging fruit, yes, we have to address research and from the laboratory to the bedside. But when we're looking at patient outcome and challenges around healthcare, and thinking about streamlining the process, someone like me, I want to start with something like electronic medical records and focusing on outcomes, because some of the challenges around tracking medical records, and someone like me growing up in Nigeria, I don't have any of my medical records up to when I left for college in the US, none. Living in different states in the US, I don't have a lot of those, probably up to 50% of my medical records. But sometimes in cases where medical professionals have to provide care, they need to kind of see a history of what's going on depending on the situation. If the situation is deteriorating or if it's progressing, if it's regressing. So having your medical records in one place, I think it's not the only solution, but it's a place to start uh, the process and kind of help patients anywhere they are get better outcomes in whatever situations they find themselves in. So I'm interested in that project, and that's the project we're working on currently, and hoping to start deployment and adoption before the end of the year in some of our communities in some of the cities in Africa, but also in general. So I'll be interested in anyone's perspective on, and hopefully Dr. Kahaya's perspective on that also, in terms of how medical records might come into play when we think about policy and looking at the low-hanging fruit in patient outcome in some of the communities that he's been in or he's provided care in.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. If you the medical record, let's say patient, let's call it patient, human information. I even call it health information system, because the health information is beyond medical record, because it begins with the when somebody is healthy, before someone becomes a patient. It's very fundamental. And as you said, policy, government policy, important, but government people are always way behind. They usually come about 10 years later to create the policy about what's going on. So, but the blockchain, it will be very, very powerful. It's actually very powerful for creating what you would call let's say a health record that is accessible through everybody's cell phone, through your wallet address, which is a QR code. So that QR code itself is now in your wallet, now gives access to all your health record before you even got sick, before it becomes a medical record. And that health information is at the base, as you say correctly, Effiong, is the base from which all the research emerges. Because there's no point of doing research if we don't know the information about the research we're doing. So it begins with a human health record. And so what we are thinking about also in Actuate was besides the raising money for the translation science, which is a big, big question right now, is that for that translation science to happen, it has to be built on fundamentals. And the fundamental of all care system, human health, is human information system, the health human, the health information system for the human beings. And what we think, and now we're going to do, we've been thinking about this at Actuate, how we can capture the health information for the patient through the cell phone, the smartphone, the cell phone, let's say just cell phone, community economic development workers that the Frida has spoken about. We train them how to use blockchain and help people in communities to enter their health data onto the blockchain itself, or the blockchain can capture that data spontaneously. Just like today, and the health data we are talking about include vital signs like blood pressure, things like the respiratory rate, things like temperature, body temperature, things like the pulse, the oxygen oxygen concentration in the blood. That kind of data is possible to capture with your smartphone. Can you believe it? And beyond that, we are going to be able to capture glucose levels, like blood sugar levels. Like you can monitor blood, continuous glucose monitoring because we have technology today which are known as biosensors, which are usually attached to the skin, and they are monitoring your blood sugar right inside your bloodstream as you go along. And then these biosensors, what we need to couple them, the biosensors, we need to couple them now with a blockchain so that if they're collecting the vital signs and also collecting the human biochemistry, whatever is happening in the bloodstream is actually able to capture and upload it right away. What is going to be very significant about that is that you can actually track the changes on human body temperatures in a population. Just a small rise in body temperature, you can know there is a virus in that population. That virus, like a COVID, when COVID happens, typical, symptom for COVID is increasing body temperature, yeah, increasing respiratory rate, increased heart rate. You can detect that using your cell phone, using these biosensors. And so what you're saying, those biosensors, they can enter the information on the blockchain, and that information is now available even for the World Health Organization to have continuous monitoring, that you're having data analytics on the blockchain on a continuous basis. Right now, the state of medical record in Africa is in shambles. There is no medical record, let us just say that. Would people write on paper? Small prescriptions, small notes and small papers, and maybe what they call patient charts. But these are fragmented. So blockchain is going to help us collect that just the health data before it becomes even medical data. Health data in a community, things like temperature, body temperature, pulse, oxygen, the blood sugar concentration on a continuous monitoring using biosensors. And so that's why here in Massachusetts, we're speaking to a few biosensor companies who we go into partnerships that we now upload that information directly on the blockchain. I can give you example. For example, patient with diabetes, there's a company here in Boston called Dexcom, which creates a blood monitoring, continuous glucose monitoring device, which is collecting blood sugar concentration levels. And with such a thing in the African village, you don't need to go to a doctor to get a blood drawn. It's actually reading your blood sugar in your bloodstream right where you are at home. Yeah. So medical records are a big deal. And of course, we are very excited to know you guys I don't know, tell me about your company. What's the name of your company, Effiong, or this product?
Well, we're still in the MVP stage, so we're not public yet.
Oh,
But it is a blockchain-based AI integrated PHI repository. Just to disclose as much. That's why we're working with Secular. It's going to be built on the Secular blockchain layer one. As we speak, the MVP is being developed at this point. And so we're tightening up all the loose ends, and we're hoping the plan is to launch it in Boston in September at the healthcare event in Boston.
okay. So what I would like to tell you, when you're creating that minimum viable product, think about a healthy person and how you can capture health data from that person using the biosensor devices as I've just described. That is possible today, particularly when you come into Boston, and we rally companies that are making these biosensors. So here at MIT and other companies that in this Boston 128 area, we see how we can integrate that data so it can go directly into the record of anybody. Just like, yeah,
May I?
go ahead.
So I have another use case. It comes from uh, shipping and insurance company. So there's some points. They worked with Microsoft actually on shipping insurance, and they were successful in a 20-week proof of concept trial. What happened was it made the auditing aspects of the shipping supply chain easier, and it improved tamper resistance. Blockchain is secure and really does a good job at preventing censorship and tampering. And then to Materia's point, it says in this trial, 20-week trial with Microsoft, sharing of data in real time. So I think that's what he's harkening on, is sharing of data in real time.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Jose. Yeah. So medical record begins with health record about the data about body temperature. I mean, collecting from biosensor devices. That's particularly collecting data for public health, which can be used now by the WHO to 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 take action when there's a disease like COVID coming up, changing people's body temperature, which usually begin first. And then the second level of the medical record occurs at the clinical encounter with a physician or with a nurse. So, and that, of course, I think that's what you guys are working on. But then there's another aspect of medical record which involves payment. In Africa, we don't have insurance companies. We don't have the Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross, Blue Shield. So we will have to rely on the blockchain itself to generate money to pay for the health services. And that's going to be tied to the medical record itself. And we call that in Actuate prepaid health, smart contract for prepaid health care that we can now build when you're designing your minimum viable product. Because on the blockchain is an internet of money. So it's able to, as it's collecting all this medical data, is also tokenizing that data, So the data becomes tokenized, and that tokenization means value that patients can use for paying for healthcare services. See? So that's something that would make now that kind of project very, very powerful, even tokenized, so that it coordinates even payment that people do not have to be scared about getting sick, but there's already assured payment from their blockchain transactions. Okay. Yeah, so I think there's quite an interesting things to do. Particularly Africa needs this a lot because we don't have a single payer. But what you're talking about is decentralized payment system for for paying for health services to give now universal access to care. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Effie. And who else?
We can do one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have 30 minutes. 40 minutes.
Yes. All right. Somebody else was here from UAE.
Fatma.
Fatma, yes, Fatma.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Fatma.
Oh, yeah,
Hello.
okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really interesting. Yeah, I've heard about data and the tokenization of real-world asset. So you are more concerned about the science and the healthcare. But for me, I'm more interested in the infrastructure development in Africa. So, for example, in Nigeria, if you need to build like construction of maybe railway, like train or like what would I call maybe like bridge, can we also use this differ for it? Differ?
Yes, Fatma, thank you. That's a great question. Yes,
Okay.
you know,
So we don't need to go and be raising fund and say we're looking for money from IMF or looking for money from this. Now, there's a current news I heard about SEC saying that they've now approved blockchain. Is it cryptocurrency or blockchain? I can't remember. There was a
yeah,
time it was banned, and then it
SEC,
was approved.
which means Security Exchange Commission.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So now, what is now the process for us to really go into it in terms of infrastructure development in Africa, not just in Nigeria? That's
info,
what I would really be interested in.
yeah, blockchain is very, very good for infrastructure development because
Yeah,
infrastructure is public, public good projects.
yeah,
So
exactly.
in blockchain, we have a technique known as retroactive public good funding. RPGF,
Okay.
public good funding. Now, these
Okay.
public good projects, maybe infrastructure, they don't look like they're going to make a profit on from anyone, but actually blockchain can help you. And I think in these meetings, we are going to talk about retroactive public good funding and how we are going to use it to fund infrastructure. And so first of all is that IMF and all those centralized organizations, they make it very, very difficult to raise capital
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
unnecessary hardship
I
because
think it's just the old bureaucracy thing that we're talking about. They simply do not want us to have all those infrastructure. And so they make it really difficult so that once you start and you can't make a headway, you probably give up. So right now that the whole Africa Unite thing is coming up, we
yeah,
would not take any chances. We just have to do what we have to do in Africa to develop Africa. So whatever technology we're going to use, whatever innovation, whatever, anything we want to do, we just have to do regardless of what they want or what they say.
yeah, what they want is up to them. They can do what they like. But the decentralized finance,
Exactly. So we just have to look for a solution around the problem.
so
That's what I feel.
let me explain now how decentralized finance will work. Of course, so for example, you have a railroad project. Again, a railroad would cost maybe $2 billion or $3 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
It means creating, first of all, that idea proposal for $3 billion, all the documents, the documentation with all the what do you call the feasibility studies. And
Mm-hmm.
when you put that, even the budgets, and then you made tokens for that
Yeah.
project. And then we, just like what we are doing now, we ask people to participate in buying those tokens.
Yes.
If you minted 3 billion tokens and you tell Nigerians that each one of those tokens is $1, one
Yeah.
token, $1, then you're going to get 3 billion tokens from local Nigerians. You see? And we're not even talking
Okay.
Nigeria, in the whole Africa. I mean, you tell people, buy this token so we can build the infrastructure. So long as you have done the homework, you have done all the homework before, the fundamentals, and
Yeah.
people believe in the idea. And
Okay.
that's the same thing they do in the capital markets. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Now we need to bring that skills in the capital market where they raise money. They create what you
Mm-hmm.
call those financial instruments, securities, and then they sell them to the public. And now, as you say, the Security Exchange Commission has relaxed. We are very lucky in this administration. This administration, the government is very, very pro blockchain or pro crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time to do it before somebody else comes in and destroys everything. Okay. This is the time. Listen, we have 4 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least with
Yeah.
Mr. Trump is pro blockchain. If among all the other things he does, we don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so because now the Security Exchange Commission is positive, and even this lady called the commissioners are very, very positive about it, and they want this to happen. It's now up to us. Is
Mm-hmm.
that the door to the temple has been split wide open? Is up to us to make it. And
Yes. We can start working on it and maybe send the do all our assignment and then just present it to SEC. I think we'll also need some other security to back up the infrastructure because right now you're selling a token which is um a software and you want to prove how do we build the trust of people to say that okay, this is going to be real and that their money is not going anywhere because the issue of crypto scam and all of that. So sometimes when people hear blockchain, they're like, they're kind of reluctant, so to
that's right.
say, because of crypto.
That is
So
why at Actuate, we have created the academy itself. We have massive public education. There are three levels of public education.
yeah,
One level,
absolutely.
community education, just like now we are talking, like
May I interrupt?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
As a note here, depending on what crypto is used is a lot to do with whether or not it is for good or if it is for, you know, if it is a criminal enterprise. The trouble with with some of the cryptos like Doge, they're used for criminal activity. The Actuate is being used for altruistic and humanitarian and specifically more uh, creative ways of keeping people healthy or healing people. So the difference is night and day when you're talking about different kinds of different currency or cryptocurrencies. I would encourage folks to not put not to sort of align Actuate with the currencies that are used for criminal activity, but to maintain the intellectual integrity to keep it separate from those completely disreputable sources of blockchain. Anyway, that's all I'm going to
Thank you,
say.
Susan.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's
that's
a
nice.
great point.
Thank you.
I would like to add 3 points. Firstly, blockchain originated as a way for the CIA in America to communicate internally with security and privacy. So the origins of this whole thing started off, with that in mind. And secondly, most people didn't know about any of this stuff until one of the big, blockchain and crypto guys got caught and he was busted by the FBI. And then that's when the general population first heard about this. So their first impression was scam. That was their first impression. So of course, you would want to look past that and, do your research. And that's why we have courses to help understand everything so you can look at the whole field from your own perspective without the influence of that, from the news. And then also, lastly, my last point is that oftentimes when you do have education and you do know what you're doing and you're in this field, a lot of times, you can see people take a decentralized product and or service through the blockchain and centralize it into their own economy, into their own website or their own branding. And when they do that, the security reduces. So then that's when hackers can come in and mess with your activities. So you would want to keep it on the blockchain, learn the security methods within the blockchain, and and then just keep educating yourself because of course things will evolve and you'll always have to be on top of that security.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Jose, for that input. And of course, Susan. Yeah, well, the blockchain is a very powerful technology which was raided by thieves. Of course, like
Mhm.
every technology comes in and then of course they are bad actors. But we want to use blockchain and crypto for good, not crypto for those nefarious activities. And very active gives, and of course, the other thing is that there's tendency for taking such a decentralized technology and then re-centralizing it and building a wall around it's like a walled garden.
Mhm.
And that is, as Jose says, that is the big risk. We want to maintain the ethos of the decentralized nature of crypto so that it gives us access to everybody. That's called, I call that economic justice, give justice, distributive justice, that we can distribute the power of economy to everybody in the world. And then there we achieve social justice, which is healthcare. Thank you. And now
So yeah,
we're out of time.
yeah, so we're gonna get in the final points. We're gonna close up now. It was great having you all. I'll let Macheria continue here from here. But yeah, it's my first time meeting you, so I look forward to learning more about you and how I can help you guys.
Yeah, by the way, Jose is sales manager, and you don't be surprised if he gets in touch with you to let you know more about what you're doing, because we are building the Society for Decentralized Science. And I think the idea is we have these meetings at least once a week, every Saturday, and then we keep on growing the movement. Tell everybody in your network what we are doing, because we are very committed to massive, massive public education on the blockchain. And thank you so much for being here. Yeah. So again, you can, if you don't have your emails, you can put your email in the chat box. Then we can send you more information during the week, if you have questions. Because those questions I was asking you, I'm going to send them to you in a form of Word document so you can consider them on your own time. All right? Then we can discuss them in the next session. Thank you so much, and back to you, Frida. Did everybody speak? I don't know. I think so.
All right. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and for your contributions. I think we had just one other person who joined us but did not speak. His name is Derek, but we shall have him. He says he's the CEO of PowerNax, and we shall have him.
He can introduce himself 1 minute before we go. Derek.
Okay.
Hi, Derek.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm doing fine. My name is Derek. I am the founder and CEO of PowerNax. So what we do at PowerNax is we are using AI to transform healthcare in Africa, with the future to incorporate blockchain in the future. We have a live product. I really like to demo it, but since there is no time, we can do that next weekend.
All right, Derek, so nice to have you here. Let's meet next weekend. Yeah, be prepared to come and tell us all about your organization.
Yeah, thank you. But I can send the link to the group. In the meantime, you can go through it.
Yes, awesome. PowerNax.
Yes, PowerNax.
All right. Awesome. So we can adjourn the meeting, and thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And so, yeah, Milton, anything to say?
Well, I do know a little bit about the blockchain. I am in graphic design and marketing, branding of various products in different industries. I have heard the conversations in business and my own research. I think it's great that you guys are getting together to stay ahead of the curve and use it as a tool to facilitate funding and also to gain more knowledge in a faster time. Being in development, real estate development as well. I wonder how, my question was, I wonder how I could possibly use the blockchain. I know there's a lot of folks overseas that would like to invest in property here in the US. But sometimes the representation and like we mentioned, the knowledge is not there. I'm wondering how we can use the blockchain to facilitate that. I have clients overseas that are interested in investing in real estate here in the US through the EB-5 visa, where they invest approximately $1 million here in the US, and then they get sponsorship and a visa with their family. That rolled into thought in my mind how we could use it. So that's my question.
We shall be having answer to that. It's called tokenization.
Yeah, next week.
Tokenization. During the week, let's talk about that, because it's possible now to tokenize the real estate, and they can buy tokens, and then we create a special real estate investment.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone, and hope to hear more.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We're going to stop there, adjourn there, and then we do Alt Q, and bye-bye for now.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.